Welcome to the Pharaoh's Realm podcast. I'm your host, BlackPharoah, and today we have somebody super special on the podcast. I call him my brother from another, and the reason why I call him this is because we move in the same lane when it comes to being inspirational, shouting out other streamers, supporting other streamers. You know, we definitely give our love and support. We don't treat this as a competition. We treat this kind of like as a everybody eats model. I first met him, and let me tell you guys how I first met him. I was the Mixer shutdown had just happened, and I was trying to decide where I was going to go, what platform I was going to go to, and I came across while on Facebook Gaming, I came across the commercial, so to say, for Pipeline. So I said, oh, let me see what this Pipeline. Stone Mountain was talking about Pipeline, and he did his little spiel. So let me see what this Pipeline is about. So I followed them on Twitter, and I'm seeing their tweets, I'm seeing their comments, and all of a sudden I started getting responses to my tweets, but it wasn't necessarily from Pipeline, it was from somebody else. And when I say everything was just encouraging and just pushing me forward and basically telling me to jump off the damn diving board already and get in the pool and get your feet wet, it was this man right here who's in the top 5 of just chatting on Twitch, motivational. Definitely somebody that you have to watch. You have to tune in for his goosings that happen at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and 12 p.m. If you are in any kind of spirit, if you don't leave that stream feeling better, call me, reach out, ping me, DM me, whatever. If you don't leave his stream feeling better or feeling good about yourself, call me. I can't refund you any money because it's free to watch, but I can definitely, steer you, continue to encourage you as well. But let me introduce you guys to none other than JD.ST from the dotFAM. Welcome, JD.
Well, hey, my
pleasure
friend.
to have you
Gosh,
with me, my
thank
brother.
you for having me, man. This is great. I feel like royalty. I'm just completely in the Pharaoh's realm here. It's fantastic.
Yes, you are, man. And like I said, to me, you are one of my top. Like I said, and I spoke to other people about this. When I'm not streaming, I'm watching. And usually when you're on, I'm at work, so I'm lurking. I have you in the background, and like I said, I have the receipts.
He does. You do.
Stream.
You do. It's great, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot. It's been crazy to start the way that kind of I did, and of course you did in the time period that we've started streaming. Certainly in the age category that you and I are in, boomers,
Yes.
Unite boomers, listen, get off our lawns. But seriously, I think that there's it's one thing for the folks that started 6, 7, 8 years ago when it was, just completely the Wild West, and now to start in a more established industry, but still such at the ground floor. I think that we're in such an exciting time, not only for content creation, but just for the entirety of where I think art and I want to believe, and maybe I'm optimistic, but I want to believe that a lot of things are coming together in one right now. You've got I think some of the best movies and art are being made now than in a long, long time. I think franchises that have been just destroyed in the past are being done with reverence and care and respect. And I'm talking about like the big ones. We're talking Star Wars and all of this stuff that they're doing so well. All of the Marvel universe, anything that Disney touches lately, they've done a good job with. And so you're seeing that from the big companies. But then what you're also seeing is almost this democratization, if we can make that a word. I don't know if it is a word, but it is now.
It's a word today, exactly.
Of content where I think instead of millions of people or even tens and hundreds of thousands of people watching, you're going to have hundreds and thousands watching hundreds of thousands. And so you've got this group now where sorry, my overlays were still up at the bottom of the screen. I had to turn them off. But I think now we have this great open field of all of these wonderful people creating all of this amazing different types of content. And there's people creating communities around all of this. And to me, that's what's really, that's what it's all about, is creating a safe place, a community for people And they don't even have to be people like me. I want your community to have your people, my community to have my people, this community to have those people. I want everybody to find a place that they can call their own. And so that's what I think is so exciting about like both sides of it, the confluence of it all coming together. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, and like I said, you've seen this influx of channels popping up, and you saw the numbers, the growth of the number of people that are now streaming because of COVID.
Yeah.
And like you said, this is just a great opportunity for people to get 10 years ago you only had certain lanes you can drive in to get your voice
That's
out.
right.
Now you got so many. You got Facebook Gaming, you got Twitch, you got D Live, you got Trovo, you got the new one, Glamesh, you got YouTube, Instagram.
I mean, I know
Twitter,
musicians.
so many avenues,
yeah,
TikTok.
dude, I know musicians right now that would have never made it 20 and 30 years ago as musicians because there wasn't a lane, there wasn't a pathway.
Right.
I mean, whether it's being a SoundCloud rapper, as much as people want to joke about it, I know guys that have 10, 20,000 followers on SoundCloud that are making killer money and they're earning a living. They have a devoted, loyal fan base that is feeding them and taking care of them, and so they're able to create their art while it's a beautiful thing. And you see that with content creators, you're seeing that with artists now with things like Patreon, and you're seeing this with musicians on I know musicians on TikTok that are making killer money, you know what I mean? So I think it's important. One of the things that happened 300-400 years ago was that the artisan class started to be kind of just gotten rid of. And over the last couple hundred years, we've lost. It used to be such a respectful thing to be a guy who played a violin in an orchestra somewhere.
Yes.
Or to be a painter like now people I got called lazy in my chat the other day. Get a real job. I'm like, dude, I'm 40. I have had real jobs since I was 11. This is real. Number one, this is a hard job.
Exactly.
But number two, creative jobs need to get more respect. And I think we're starting to see that as well, where we're seeing, artists and painters and musicians are being respected again, but maybe not in the way that they had always wanted. I always wanted to have like a big A record deal, right? I wanted to have like that big, that massive thing. The truth of it is you're way better off to not even sign with the label, have 5,000-10,000 people buying every album that you put out, tour to support it a couple of times a year, and then, I don't know, stream your practices on the internet and charge your Patreon members to see it. I mean, I literally, there are bands that are doing that now. So if you're creative, you can make something happen now more than ever could when I was playing in garages 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, and I think part of that, it starts with the educational system, that they've taken away so much funding from. I mean, even like when I was in the junior high school in New York, but it's the equivalent to middle school.
Sure.
We had band. We had a band. And now, when my youngest son came up through, there was no band. Like, there was no nothing. There was barely a chorus, but there was no band for these kids to learn how to play instruments. So unless you had a parent in today's times, unless you had a parent at home who emphasized playing the piano, playing the guitar, playing the violin, these kids don't have that opportunity no more. But to your point, it's starting to get popularized again, because now it's becoming, like you said, the cool thing.
It is
to do, to play an
It's cool to be creative again. Yeah. It used to be like, oh, you'll never get anywhere. Now people are like, well, I mean, look, going to college and getting $80,000 worth of debt on you might not be the best idea either. So, you do you. Like, I think that's kind of a great thing about this younger generation is they're like, well, I don't know, maybe what was done before my generation. I'm 40. We're very close in age.
We're the same, yeah.
And we're the same generation. And, our generation was just kind of like, well, I mean, I don't really think we necessarily felt like we had a choice but to do what had been done before. And I think this youngest generation, these millennials, and even the exennials, or whatever the hell they're called now. These youngsters, these 20 and 30-year-olds, they really genuinely are like, you guys screwed up. And I think a lot of my generation is sitting here going, yeah, we kind of did. Like, we did, we could have done better. And especially, I got some friends that are in my generation that like, really, it's like, you you shouldn't be parent. You didn't do great by your kids because you weren't done great by your parents, and you kind of passed a lot of that toxicity along. And I'm hoping that this is the generation that stops passing the toxicity from one generation to the other, that stops passing this is just the way we've always done it, and so just keep doing it this way. Hey, I've done the same job for 80 years and nothing's ever changed, but go ahead and put me in charge somewhere. Do you know what I mean? Like, no, we need new ideas. And I'm fully ready.
Fresh ideas.
Yeah, like my whole thing is I want to empower this next generation and encourage them to not make the mistakes that we made, to not have the same broken thought patterns and thought processes that I had for so much of my life, and to be willing to be able to examine ourselves. And so I think right now we're in this very interesting phase where things are actually like wokeness, if you want to call it that, is really swung a pendulum very hard to a more liberal side of things. And I think that naturally scares people when the pendulum swings from one side to the other too drastically. But the thing is that it's always going to level out somewhere in the middle of things, and it's always going to balance. And so I would just like to see like less of the hand wringing and more of the hand holding. Like, how can we stop being so afraid about what's to come and embrace it and say, hey, we've got a better day tomorrow if we could all figure out how to get along. And I don't care whether that's black or white, gay and straight, whatever the male and female. It seems like those are the three that are really kind of at odds right now. It's like whites and everybody, which is fair. We've earned all of our ire, every bit of it. And then it's men versus women, and it's the gays, it's the LGBTQIA, that entire community versus the straights. And I don't feel like necessarily somebody said, oh, there's a war happening here. But what I feel like has happened is that there's these lines drawn that, like, for some reason, there's this lie that what is good for women would somehow be bad for men. That somehow, if women had every bit of the same respect that we have just by being male, and the not being second guessed when we say something, like, like a woman says something and it's like, are you sure that's what happened? A guy says something, nobody questions him, and I do it. I'm guilty of it. Right. So, like, I do it to my wife. I know you've never done it to your wife because you're still alive. You're still alive. But I have no, I'm just kidding. But really, I mean, we all do that, right? It's just kind of the benefit of the doubt that if you or I were standing next to our own vehicles in an empty-ish parking lot at 7:30 at night and it's starting to get dark, if a police car pulled up behind me, I'm going to get treated different than you do, wearing the same damn outfit, in the same city, by the same police officer. It's just going to happen, and anybody that says otherwise has never been in the situation and seen it happen. I has never talked to somebody and seen it happen, so we have to... But that's not the division. Like, the division isn't male and female. It's not black and white. It's not gay and straight. The division is understanding. The division is choosing to put myself in your shoes and know that I would be treated differently. And given it's not even, I would just get the benefit of the doubt that it was my car. Even if it's just that much, you would not necessarily get the benefit of the doubt that it was your car if you were fumbling for your keys. You might have to have a conversation that would never happen for me. Do you know what I mean? And in the same exact damn situation. But the problem is not necessarily racism, although that's what the actual issue is. That's what the problem is. The actual issue is that police officer has never understood what it's like to stand in that position.
Exactly.
And if they did, they would never want to do it to anybody ever again. They'd never be able to justify it ever again if they'd ever been, like, treated a way they didn't deserve just by... And here's what's sad and funny about what's happened between cops in this country and everything that's happened over the last couple of years, is that actually now cops are kind of treated in some ways, in some circles, the same way they have treated African Americans historically. The cops don't get the benefit of the damn doubt anymore. They don't, you know what I mean? If they even think about roughing somebody up, if it's on camera, I mean, we're treating it differently. Finally, thank God, it should be. They should be held to a higher standard. I find it interesting that now it's actually like, oh, well, how does it feel when the shoe's on the other foot? And they hate it. They hate being scrutinized every step of the way for every little infraction. You know, it bothers the hell out of me when I'm driving behind a police officer and they don't signal or they like are speeding. Bothers the heck out of me. There's a separate level of responsibility. It's the same for me. You as a coach, right? As a coach of young people.
Right. Yep.
You have a responsibility to be above reproach in certain areas. I feel like that would be sexually. You need to be above reproach in terms of you need to be responsible, mature, like an adult. Like you don't need to be in inappropriate situations. As somebody who is entrusted with young people's care, I believe that you have a greater responsibility towards, and I'm not talking about some sense of morality. I'm talking about towards setting an example of what we should all be aspiring to, which is to be a good, responsible male, which means you're not sexually harassing every woman that walks by you, which means you treat your wife with respect, which means you, like all of these things that we can do that will set us up and empower us rather than cause divisions. And yet, you know, I get called a simp for saying stuff like that. So what the hell do I know?
Yeah, and that's crazy because, you know, like you say, when I coach, you know, young ladies, and I tell them, I'm teaching you the skill set and communication skills now that's going to be with you for the next 60 years of your life. You're going to be able to look back and say, well, man, I remember when Coach told me this, or I remember when Coach told me that. That's the value, you know, and I don't yell at them. I don't demean them.
Right.
Sometimes I have to raise my voice because we're in the gym.
Encouraging somebody passionately is different than demeaning. Yeah.
Exactly. And I want them to understand this is how a man should talk to you. And I tell that to the parents all the time. When I talk to your daughters, I want them to understand this is how. Now, your dad yelling at you and screaming at you,
that's your dad.
That's your dad. That's something different. But as an outsider, as a stranger, you know, I tell a parent I beat up high school boys if I need to. You know, I joke with they get a kick out of that. But to your point, you know, I want to teach them what's right from. We have young ladies from different ethnic groups, from different backgrounds that we bring together so that you understand this person's, you know, plight, you understand this person's plight, and you understand this person's plight, and you guys create a sisterhood that, you know, in 4 or 5 years when somebody's getting married, I told them, I said, just send me the wedding invites, but it would be nice to see a couple of the girls in the wedding party. So I'm building lifelong relationships, and that's what I try to do with these young ladies.
Well, and I think what's great about it is that you have an opportunity, you know, and that's why I worked with young people, and my wife and I did for so many years, because you can help people not make some of the mistakes that you made, and you can right some of the wrongs maybe that were done to you. The things that you look back on and go, man, I wish somebody would have just told me this. And I think, I mean, to that point, now we have an even bigger medium. There's something to be said for the one-on-one. But like, that's what I was never great with the, I want to give you what you need and send you off. I don't want to handhold you. Right. I don't think it helps you any to coddle you and help you and just help you along every step of the way. And you know that from, you know, you'll ask me a question and I'll give you a link for where you watch a video to learn how to do it. I don't tell anybody how to do anything just about. I want to show you how to fish so that you don't ever have to come back to need fish from anybody. And I want to encourage everybody to do that. And I think that's one of the things about working with young people that I think was so rewarding is seeing some of them now who are off doing these just great things. I say to my chat even all the time that what the people in my community go on and do, I take like 10% credit for. So Like, I mean, like what you're doing with this podcast, I get a little bit of credit for. I haven't done a lick of work to make your podcast happen, but I know that I encourage you every couple of days. You're in there, and I have the opportunity to speak into your life in a positive way, yes. and you get to see me grow and work things out and learn and change and grow as a result of knowing you and all of these other things, and then it comes back to you in the form of, hey, then you're putting out this podcast that's doing great things. It's this beautiful, beautiful, symbiotic, just awesome thing that can happen when we all realize that there isn't a competition. It's we're together in this.
Right. And I will say, yes, you were an inspiration because, and before I go into my first, main question, you are a variety streamer.
Yeah.
Meaning you don't, there's not one game you stick to. You play COD, you play Fortnite, you play Plants vs. Humans. Like, I've seen you play some
weird stuff.
Recently, I've seen you in GTA 5, and you just showed that, hey, you don't have to follow what everybody else does. And over the last couple of months, when I was putting this podcast together in my head, I was like, well, JD kind of, lays, some brickwork. You got your brickwork. Now it's my turn to lay the brickwork to show that you don't have to follow what everybody else do. I don't have to follow what Nick Merckx or Stone Mountain or King Richard or Rasa Lavisa. Like, I don't have to follow what they do, because that was what made them successful. I have to find what made me successful, and right now
it won't work for you.
Well, and talking to people,
what's gonna work for somebody else? Here's the problem and the solution. We can get all of the advice at the end of the day until you go out there. And Mr. Beast said it so well a few years ago. He said, "Make 1,000 videos and then let's talk." Harris has said the same thing. The Blonde Boy Wonder. Right. He said the same thing. He has said, just make 1,000 videos. Make your content. Do you create your stuff and then see what happens from it? And I mean, everything that I do on I started off, you probably saw some of my earliest of streams. You've been with us forever. And I mean, some of my first streams, I'm playing Warzone poorly. Not that that's changed. I'm playing Warzone badly for 2 people. But I was having fun, and I wasn't afraid to examine what I was doing and try something different. And then it turned into this thing and this thing and this thing, and now it doesn't matter what I do. It really just legitimately, I sat and tried to put together a microphone boom arm for 2.5 hours and had 35-something people watching me like get frustrated doing it. It doesn't, because what I've done is I've built a community of people that genuinely want to see each other succeed and genuinely need to be encouraged. Like, we all need somebody to pat us on the back, tap us on. You need a coach. Like, you need somebody. You've got one. She's standing behind you somewhere, like over off to the side. You've got a coach in your life. You wouldn't be well able to coach the young women if you didn't have somebody in your corner constantly building you up, constantly encouraging you. And I'm not talking about me. You got me too, but you've got mama. You got your wife that's there, really encouraging you, helping you along the way, as do I. I couldn't do any of this. Half of my best material is my wife's. I say it, and so you think it's my ideas. It's not. It's all her. Don't tell anybody. They'll fire me for plagiarism. But like, I lost my train of thought. My point is just that at the end of the day, we're in this very, very awesome position to be able to encourage other people, and that's all. It's not about what game I'm doing. As long as when people come in, I can try and put a smile on their face, or I can make them think about something, and we'll do both in the same 35, 40 seconds. So I'm not as worried about what we're doing as the heart behind what you're doing, and you doing it the unique way that you can do it. And I said that to Marisol and Sweets the other day, who I know you love as much as I do. Stop worrying about the type of content you create. Like, they bicker. When they bicker, it's the funniest crap on earth. When they get going back,
yes, I tell them all the time, I'm here just for the rage.
I need more. I need more back and forth. I need like a moment where their game screens go away and it's just head to head of the two of them. And well, this is what you did. Well, this is what you did. Well, no. Oh, I love you. I love you too. You know what I mean? That's like perfect. It's just great content. They're fun as heck. I love them, and that's the type of thing.
And there's so much alike, and there's so much alike now, and that's why when we talked about when I had them on the show, they are so much alike. They're thinking so much alike. That's why they butt heads, because there's so much alike now.
Yeah. Oh,
when they're playing,
and the more comfortable she gets, listen, none of us are watching for Marisol anymore. And it's fine. He's fine with it. Just ride her coattails, bro. That's why Mrs. JD is not allowed on the program. Nobody will ever want to watch me again. They will be clamoring for a Mrs. JD stream the whole time, and then I'll just be chopped liver. I don't want to.
You'll just be the producer in the background.
Yeah, she won't even let me touch the buttons at that point. She'll just, you sit over there. I got this. Okay, so fire away. I know you have actual questions for me instead of me pontificating for 20 minutes.
Dude, this is all good.
But it's cool.
This is all good stuff. Like I said, when you go outside the questions, it's all good. But let me start with this question. Right. So what got you into content creation? Like at what moment did you decide this is what I want to do? I want to move forward with this whole content creation platform.
I think when I really started to see I've wanted to do this for a while, a few years probably, if I'm honest about it. I saw Lupo back in the day playing Fortnite with Ninja, and even earlier than that, when he was like playing Destiny back in the day. So I've always been intrigued by the platform, but quite honestly, to stop what you're doing. I was running my own business, had a home theater business. Things were going really well before COVID. I was serving in a church. I was very content with kind of everything. I was very comfortable. I mean, it wasn't like things were, I wasn't like raking in millions or anything, but everything was comfortable. We had multiple cars. We just kind of did whatever we wanted. And, I still worked and I enjoyed what I did. I was building a business, but it was really, I guess I just didn't see how do you get from there to here? Well, then COVID happens. And on top of COVID happening, all of the things that happened in the South with racial just tension happened. And I'm a type of person who, when I see things that are just wrong, I'm not able to be quiet. And so I just had a lot of older white folks that, I don't know how to put it other than, it's not even that they were racist. It's just that they didn't understand the prejudice.
Right.
And they didn't see it for what it was, and they couldn't understand why All Lives Matter was so hurtful and why it was so unchristian. And so there was so much that went into that, and it was just such a difficult and dark period. And quite honestly, I got to the lowest point that I'd ever been. I had to close my business down. All of these things are going wrong. And the streaming happened after me realizing that I needed to change my thought process up. But the streaming was really just, I had a camera. I was stuck in the house all the time. And I just was like, well, hey, I might as well get on. And what I found was that, contrary to what I had thought of, that I didn't have anything to offer, people needed some positivity. They needed some encouragement. And I think the first time somebody came in and said they were having a bad day, I just naturally went into what I believe. And I kind of just shared my story of how I had been really negative, and I was still working my way out of all of the depression and darkness, but that I believed there was a better way, and this, that, and the other. And it just kind of has been a self-fulfilling prophecy, if that makes sense. It's not that it wasn't something I set out to do. Once I decided I was going to do it, which was like 3 or 4 weeks into just kind of dabbling in it, that was when I got serious about it. And I joined Pipeline, and I started figuring out everything there was to know. And so that, when I decided that, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to try and make a living out of it, that all of a sudden, bam, it was something clicked. And everything that I'd done in my entire life up until then kind of clicked together. So whether it was working in recording studios, whether it was knowing just how to communicate with people, whether it was knowing lighting and stuff like that, it all just kind of manifested and happened at the same moment. And, like 3 months later, I'm, talking with Stone Mountain one-on-one about my growth. You know what I mean? It's just, so that was how kind of quickly it happened.
That was a great interview.
Yeah, it happened in like the 3-4 months into streaming. So like things took off. We're almost at 2,000 followers now on Twitch. And we hit 800 subscribers last month. So it's nuts the way that things are going. And it's fantastic, and I'm going to be able to earn a full-time living out of this. By this time next year, it will be the equivalent, I think, of what we were. It might even be more than what I was really heading towards. So I'm really confident and I'm bullish on content creation because I believe that everybody's got a niche. I don't think it's my niche. But I think there's a space for everybody to be creating something that matters to them. There's a community for everybody right now, and it's really cool. It's just really dope. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is. Like you said, there is a lane for everybody.
Yeah.
Just to stay in your. And this is one of the times when stay in your lane means stay in your lane. Don't worry about what's going on the right lane.
Yeah, you don't need it.
Left lane. Look out the windshield. The windshield is big for a reason. Look out the windshield. That's why it's big. Don't look in the rearview mirror. Don't look in the side mirror. Look in the windshield. Know what's going forward. Stay in your lane. Stay forward.
Exactly.
All the time.
Exactly. That's it.
All right. So me being a part of your community, I know a lot about you, just having been around you for the last 9+ months. But is there one thing that your community may not?
I really wish,
or even the listening and viewing all this? Is there one thing that they do? Because you've been such an open book.
I wish I could shut up.
Is there truly one thing that they don't know?
I wish I could shut up long enough for them to not know. It's like, oh, this thing. So there's sometimes Mrs. JD's like, are you gonna tell, like, literally, like, are they gonna know, like, how? Like the color of like, I don't know. It's just I share everything in my heart. I want to be an open book. If I'm having a bad day, even though I'm like this positivity guy, I think if I'm never honest with you about, of course I had a bad day the other day. I don't wake up every day feeling good. There's some days where I have to get myself here. You know what I mean? But it's not about feelings. It's about a choice. And I made a choice that I'm going to be an encouraging person. I made a choice that I'm going to encourage myself. I made a choice that I'm not going to be negative anymore and just be frustrated about things that are outside of my control because I spent too much damn time that way, and it's freaking miserable, man. It's just miserable, and it didn't help me at all, so why do it?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. Okay, yeah, like I said, you've been pretty much open book.
There's nothing.
Me personally, I love your jam sessions, man. When you get that guitar out and you be jamming, you did an awesome intro for Iron Smith.
I did. Thank you. That was fun.
That was awesome. I mean, just sitting there with the guitar out, and when he gets in that groove, Chad,
it is fun. It's fun.
I'm honestly gonna say it's Hendrix and Prince.
Oh, you're out of your mind.
I don't know Hendrix music.
You're out of your mind.
My parents listen to that. No, I'm dead serious.
Comparing me to Prince is that's the thing.
No,
man,
I
love Hendrix, but good, Prince is. Oh, the shirts and blouses, the shirts and blouses, freaking basketball game. No, here's what's funny. It's a real thing. I know it's a real thing because before the Chappelle Show skit ever happened, I had heard the story from an engineer about that, and he worked at Paisley Park. He told it to us when I was going to Full Sail, and he was like, he saw the game. He was there for the game. So it was one of the greatest things he's ever seen in his life. And Prince can ball.
Prince I know used to go to a lot of Knicks games. Yeah, he used to go to a lot of Knicks games. He's
700 feet tall.
Pictures flown out.
He was so tall. People don't realize how long that dude was. He was long. It was awesome. He's got enough music. They're going to be releasing his music for decades. He had so much music stored up, ready to be released.
Yeah.
But Prince, one of my biggest. There will never be I'm sorry, Queen B, don't get mad at me, Beyonce. Don't get mad at me, Justin Timberlake. There will never be a Super Bowl performance like Prince doing Purple Rain.
Oh, no, hands down.
In the flipping rain.
In the rain.
And nailing every note of the guitar solo live. That was not overdone. He was doing it live. It's pouring down rain. Do you know how hard it is to play an electric guitar in the rain? It's really hard.
Yeah, that was, I think, Miami. I think that was the Colts and the Bears. I think that was that Super Bowl.
Oh, no.
He was nailing, like you said.
When you're a musician and not a sports ball person, you judge Super Bowls by the halftime performance. I know Super Bowls by who performed at it. Oh, that was the one that Britney did. Well, that was the Michael Jackson one.
Yeah, his was pretty good, but Prince's was probably
Prince. I don't think anybody will ever top Prince's. I don't know if you can do better. It was pretty good. I don't know what the things that we're going to talk about tonight are incredible. Welcome. I'm glad you're here on the podcast. So yeah, I mean, I'm an open book, man. There's nothing about me that I don't share. I want people to know the truth about my life, and I knew too many people growing up that hid everything and kept everything compartmentalized. And I don't think it's healthy. So I out stuff and put stuff in the open as often as I possibly can. If it's mine to share, if it's somebody else's to share, I try not to do that.
So let me ask you this. What was some of the best advice you have received in your content creation journey thus far?
Golly, I've got you start being a streamer and you'll get a lot of advice. And I've given a lot of advice. And I think the best advice that anyone ever gave me on anything applies to life and streaming. But it was eat the fish, leave the bones. And it's the same thing I tell everybody. Or better yet, see, I come from a generation, you probably do too. You probably come from a house where you finished every dang thing on your plate, it was bad. It was bad. I don't care if you like it or not. If there's food left on your plate, it's not a good look. And that's because our parents grew up so damn poor, and without the luxuries that we had, that people that are mine and BlackPharoah's age, in our late 30s or early 40s, late 30s. Let's just leave it late 30s. That our parents were just poor growing up, and they did not have the abundance. So you not finishing food on the plate is wasteful, and it's just a different thought process. And so I think I grew up with this philosophy of life, and I know this is, somebody's like, that's the most ridiculous thing to equate to something, but just hear me out. I feel like I had the philosophy my whole life that you had to take everything in, and if you didn't apply all of what you were hearing, that it wasn't working. What I've realized later in life is that you've got to take what works for you and frickin' throw the rest of it out. So try it. If you apply it and you give it a fair shake and it doesn't work for you, toss it. Now, don't throw it away forever. You may need to come back to it 6 months or a year from now, because what gets you the first 6 months of content creation will not get you the next 6 months. What gets you the first 6 months of marriage won't get you the next 6 months or 6 years either. It's that what gets you the first 6 months in a new job won't get you the next 6. If you want a promotion, you can't stay at the entry level. You've got to grow, right? So I think that once we get that into our head, that it changes the script a lot. You know what I mean?
Right. I totally agree, man. Totally agree. You've hit the nail on the head with a lot of good points there, and man, I hope you guys are taking in all this information and all these nuggets that JD's dropping on you. This is what he does on his stream.
But if it doesn't work for you, don't take it.
Right.
Like, eat the fish, leave the bones. So take the information that's going to apply to you, try it, apply it. If it doesn't work, don't worry about it. And I learned a ton from Stone Mountain and Ashney and all of these folks. But I think the best piece of advice I learned was not all of this advice is going to apply to you right now, and that's okay. I'm at a different place. It's not about how many months you've been doing it or how many followers you're at. It's really about a confidence level. Like, a lot of what I'm doing now comes from my confidence that I can change games, and it's not going to hurt my numbers. And if it does, I'm not going to look at that game change as the reason my numbers went down. I'm going to go, was my content not good? Because if I can't make good content on any game, that's on me, not on, I mean, unless the game's just totally broken or something. Unless it's like Outriders or something. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Teasing.
No, that game has been broken.
I'm teasing. Unless it's Cyberpunk. I couldn't make content in Cyberpunk because it was broken. Maybe when I've got some new toys coming, so maybe it'll work a little bit better on those. But so it just at the end of the day, knowing that what I need now isn't necessarily going to be what I need later, and take what I need, use it, and get rid of the rest, and move on to the next thing, because there's. Like, nothing that you're doing now, what got Stone Mountain to where he is will not get him to his next level. It just won't. Right. He has to change it up. That's why he started Pipeline. Like, otherwise he'd just still be doing the streaming thing. But that's not enough for him. So he's making partnerships, and he's doing this, and he's doing that, because there's more to be. There's more there. There's more there available. Right. Hence, Dr. Disrespect's amazing new book. I mean, he's got a #1 bestseller. Come on. Like,
I'm going to have to check it out.
It's Violence, Speed, Momentum. It's ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous.
That's all.
It's just a meme. It's a meme, and it's hilarious, and he slayed it. And, you know, my hat is off to him because I'm not wearing a hat right now.
So let me ask you this. Talk about your early introduction into games. Like, what were some of the earlier games that you started playing that got you to where you're such, again, the variety streaming out? But what were some of the early games and gaming systems that you touched upon?
So, earliest of days, my dad, in 83 or 84, my dad brought home an IBM. I want to say it was a 386. It may have been a 386, like the better one, the SX or whatever, but I want to say it was an original 386. Original IBM DOS, machine with a 5 1/4 floppy drive in the front. And, I mean, just big old flippity floppity, just amazing. And, on that computer, he had Microsoft Flight Simulator and Test Drive. And he also had a game called Ultima. Those three things kind of changed my life. And so I had logged a ton of hours in that. And Dad was just into computers from a very early age. So I think we got a Nintendo right around the time, maybe a year or two after it had come out, because I remember wanting one really bad. And so I think we didn't get the very first run of Nintendos. I think we got the second run of the original Nintendo Entertainment System, the gray one. Mm-hmm. Of course, Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt was on the same cartridge, and then tap on the thing, like blow it out and junk. Y'all don't know, kids. These kids don't know. Never know. Kids will never know. You don't know. You had to, and you smack it. You could be rough with this crap too, like not like today where it's like, oh, I'm just so delicate. It might be broken. Like some of this stuff today, it's like it's so cheap and plasticky compared to the stuff from back then. Those Nintendo controllers were freaking. You could throw that thing through drywall and it would still work. The original NES controller, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You could choke your little sister out with it. Not that I ever did that. Never. Don't do that at home, kids, to your siblings. It's not nice. You can't do that anymore. All the controllers are wireless. You just gotta throw them at your siblings. But so I tons of years in time on all of that stuff. But really, I was always a PC gamer. So, my fondest memories though of early days are definitely, it's definitely Ultima and Test Drive and Flight Simulator. I mean, you're talking green lines on a black screen, my friend. It just, when we got a joystick, it was oh my gosh. And so, of course, all of the Wing Commander games, every Star Wars game ever made, I've played on PC. If it's been released on PC, I've played it. And I mean, I literally mean even the Ewoks game. Like every Star Wars game that's ever been played. There's really not one. I've gone back in the last couple of years and found the ones that I might have missed or think I could have missed and played them. So, but yeah, we didn't have an Atari. We had ColecoVision. Although, ColecoVision, the actual brand, just commented on a post I did the other day on Twitter. So that was fun. Yeah, I thought it was pretty dope. I was like, there was the nostalgia. So Pitfall and all of that stuff. I mean, I loved all that stuff, but I just missed the arcade generation, or my mom was too much of a helicopter mom, or we didn't live around those areas for the arcade. The arcades were dying off. I was born in 1980, so had I been born 2 or 3 years earlier, I would have been like a pinball kid and probably in the arcades. So I'm kind of glad of when and then the internet happened when I was in high school. So, AOL was like junior high, maybe like 7th grade. And so we had, movie phone brought to you by AOL. You know what I mean? Press 1 for showtimes. So we would do that, and we had, the coasters. America Online would send you, 10 discs every month with like 15 minutes of free time, and I charged up a ton of money on my parents' credit card bills a couple of times. So all of that stuff. But yeah, I mean, those were fun days. It's different now. It's taken for granted now. Like, The stuff that I complain about in a video game now, I never would have then. So I don't know if that makes me spoiled now, or if no, it makes me spoiled and entitled. Yeah, that's what it is. I'm spoiled and entitled. I want more every single year. I want I wanted Cyberpunk to cybernetically replace parts of my body. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we expected. That's what we expect from video games now. Like, I want to be the video game. Like, I want to be Johnny I want to feel Johnny Silverhand when I reach out. Like, it's like, dude, that it's a 1080p monitor and a mouse and keyboard. I know, but I wanted to reach out and like I wanted to grab me. I want to smell it. I want to smell Keanu Reeves' sweat. And it's like, that's just not what's going to happen, So I think in some ways we need to have a little bit more fair expectations of, like, other human beings. You know what I mean? Like let's put yourself in their shoes. Like, how bad do you think the developers of Outriders felt this week when, servers are going down? They felt awful, and they're getting, like, death threats. I just don't think that's cool.
Yeah, and they're getting creamed. Yeah, they're getting creamed on social media because of, like Cyberpunk, you have all the hype for this game, and you have a blueprint because you see how big Call of Duty and some of the other games, Fortnite. So you understand your server's got to be up to par because when you're the new game out, everybody's going to jump on. Like, you can't say, well, we only expected 100,000 people to show up and 1 million people to show up. You can't expect it. You have to always err on the side. What's the largest? We need to get the biggest amount of servers.
Sure.
In. They've already probably made a ton of money in pre-sale.
But I just look at it like this.
Go ahead of the game.
I just look at it like this, though. I can't remember a launch that hasn't been screwed up. I remember the Star Wars The Old Republic launch, or the World of Warcraft Burning Crusade launch, or the, like, come on, like, how many games have actually released and the servers have worked well in this scale? There's been very few when you really think about it. And, like, let's be very, very clear. Warzone 4 years or 3 years in is legitimately still one of it makes Skyrim look bug-free, in my opinion. The amount of dev errors, and like how many times did the gun glitch or the stim glitch have to come back over a 3-year time period, 2-year time period? So on one hand I go, well, but on the other hand I go, well, freaking $1 billion, $2 billion. I know Activision doesn't really have the money. They can't really afford it. But, like, could we look at it and go, like, so I was just like, well, why is everybody giving Square Enix a hard time? Like, they've had a week to get used to this kind of level of crazy amounts of traffic, and, like, Warzone servers still freak out, and they still have cheaters and everything. So I think sometimes we also let things slide on one thing when we wouldn't on another, and I don't know why we do that. I do it too. Like, I'm less upset with them for Outriders than I was for Cyberpunk, because I think Cyberpunk was just a stupid mistake. I think it was just, why would you ever think that a next generation game could run on the 2 generations back consoles and the current and then the next generation? You're trying to do 3 generations with one game. Somebody's getting screwed, and it's gonna have to be the high end game unless you want to screw everybody else. And they didn't do that. They screwed the lowest end, which was just a huge mistake on their part. It was just and the other thing is that game was basically like they underpromised and they overpromised and underdelivered. I mean, they really were telling you that things were going to happen. And quite honestly, I've been playing a lot of Grand Theft Auto lately, and it has more advanced everything than Cyberpunk does. So, like, I don't understand. I was so disappointed in that game. Not in the people behind it, but just in the decisions that got made in the boardroom that were like, why? What? Huh? Cool. What?
Head scratch, yeah, a bunch of head scratches.
I think that all the time. Like I'll tell you a Star Wars game they shuttered. The bounty hunter game that they shuttered that was set on Coruscant, and it was like the down in the depths and the bowels of Coruscant, and there were no Jedi Force wielders or anything. It was just an action adventure game, and it looked amazing, and they shuttered it. It's like, who makes these decisions, and yet you make Lego Star Wars every year? I don't, like, huh? Why are you... Oh, it was, I don't know. At any rate, I could talk video games forever. I'm a nerd, man. I love that stuff.
You good, man. You good. So this next segment is brought to you by Diamond the Doula. If you're looking for a more holistic way for natural healing, go to diamondthedoula.com. She'll supply all your holistic and natural needs. She doesn't deal in CBD or nothing like that. I was recently diagnosed with a bad back. I know I've told the story, and she sent me some oils for my back, and I put it on, and it smells good. I don't walk around smelling like Bengay, like I just walked out of the hospital, right. And I'm allowed time to sit here and comfort to sit here and do the podcast with my guests. So again, please check out our sponsor, diamondthedoula.com, and tell her the Pharoah sent you. So we're going to go into our little rapid fire segment. I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. If you got a story behind it, even better. So let me start with controller or mouse and keyboard.
This is supposed to be rapid fire. So I just ordered a scuff, and they're finishing it right now and sending it to me. But I give crap to controller players all the time because I am a mouse and keyboard player. I like headshotting. I just like I'm just more comfortable there. But if I'm popping off 10 and 20 bombs in Warzone the next time we play, it's the controller. It's all about this scuff. So I'm excited to see what happens. I'm telling people, if all of a sudden I'm good at first-person shooters, we will know that it's the controller. So I am mouse and keyboard unless this thing comes in and I'm really good with it, in which case I'll forever be like, oh, I'm totally controller. Totally.
Gotcha. All right. Seth drums or Harris Heller?
Oh, Seth. All day.
Okay.
Well, wait. Are we talking about for like in terms of stream I'll watch, or in terms of like who I want a calendar of?
Just whatever. No, just whatever way. Whatever way you interpret it.
If it's 12 months of a fireman's calendar, that's going to be Harris Heller. But if it's the stream, it's going to be Seth drums.
No problem. That's cool. That's no problem. Dr. Disrespect or Dr. Lupo?
Lupo, all day.
Doctors in
all day.
Okay.
It's the only doctor that can cure my ills. It's Dr. Lupo.
Gotcha. All right. Stone Mountain 64 or Snoop A?
Ooh. Oh, you can't. I got to give it to my man Snoop because Stone got my name wrong on the commercial, and Snoop hasn't ever gotten my name wrong. I know that J.com and I look a lot alike, but we're not the same guy.
I remember that.
He called me J. So, gotta be Snoop A. Oh.
All right. Bird or Bionic
Bird
Body?
all day. Bird and I are really good friends. We've spent a ton of time. She has taught me a lot. Probably the most influential person in Pipeline to my career has been the conversations I've had with her. More than Snoop or Stone or any of the stuff that I've learned. I think some of the one-on-one things that she's taught me, and just some of the times she said, hey, just been very matter-of-fact about stuff. It's really helped. So, brilliant person. Love her.
Right. And like that, and I tailored those questions because of your relationship with Pipeline.
Yeah. I love all, you know what? I love the folks at Pipeline. I credit them for a lot. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if I hadn't have gotten the encouragement and the knowledge that I got from them early days was invaluable. I equate it to a year of having to figure it out on my own, condensed into something that I was able to digest in about 45 days. And so, I mean, it's a game changer. It skips you ahead. It's definitely one of the best things I've done. All right, keep going.
I know you have a little hip hop in your background. I know you like hip hop.
Oh, yeah.
Notorious B.I.G. or Tupac?
It's Pac. You can't put Pac up against Biggie, but if you did, it's Pac. It's all day. It's Pac. Sorry.
No.
I'm sorry.
Listen,
no,
I'm a Brooklyn guy, so my love is with Big. But I always like to hear the Pac argument. I love Pac's music. Don't get me wrong, but I love to hear the arguments. I've gotten different sides of this.
Listen,
fence, so
I mean, I have the same list as Eminem. It's Jay-Z, Tupac, Biggie, Andre from Outkast. I mean, those guys right there are kind of Jada Kiss is up there, and Shady is up there too. And I think that Dre doesn't really fit in there. Dre's categories that none of those dudes would really exist if it wasn't for him and Puffy. Like, you wouldn't really have the sounds that you have if it wasn't for those two guys. So, like, I think give them that credit. But yeah, I'm kind of Pac all day. Puffy always annoyed me a little bit. So
that's all good.
Just annoyed me a little bit. Is it P. Diddy, P. Daddy, P. Dotty? I don't know. Who are you? Puff?
Yeah, he changed his name. Yeah, he
I
changed
love
his
it.
name every 5 years.
I love him now. I love the current who he is. He's fantastic on the show he's on, the singing competition show that he does. He's so good on it, and he's great with young people. He's been really good for a lot of young artists. So I do have a ton of respect for and love for all of them. So.
All right, so let me shift gears a little bit and ask you this. What has been your greatest streaming or content creation achievement at this point? Like, what is the thing you are most proud of at this point in your journey?
I think the way my community cares about each other, and how loyal they are. I have a really good group, and you know these people. They're just good people. And so I think that's probably my proudest achievement. I think just what we've done in a short time by kind of believing the way that I do and putting into practice the stuff that I'm telling other people to do. Like, I take my own medicine, if that makes sense. I drink my own Kool-Aid, if there is any. And so for the fact that I'm still doing it, and that, like, last month was our biggest month that we've ever had on every metric, I think is a testament to the fact that what I'm talking about actually works. So that, to me, is what's exciting. Like, that's the accomplishment. I've done some really cool stuff, and I'm very honored by it. But I don't think I don't think that I've even gotten started yet. I think everything I've done up till now has laid a foundation and really started to build something. Like, I'm not, like, there's a next level to where I'm at right now of what I'm doing, and I still haven't, I watch a lot of Formula One now. Like, not a lot, but I mean, I watch the TV show on Netflix, so I guess that's a lot. But, like, I really enjoy the thought process behind it. And so it's almost like I'm still a couple of levels back. Like, if it was NASCAR, I'd be what used to be called Busch Series. I'm not really operating at the level of a Dr. Lupo yet in terms of what I'm doing, because I have not yet I have not yet determined exactly the direction that I'm going to take it, if that makes sense. So because I still have a lot of options open and I don't want to pigeonhole myself, but you do have to pick a lane. Because it's hard. You have to be. One of the things I learned a long time ago in music is you do have to be categorizable, even if you do. Like, you have to fit somewhere. People have to know. Even though I don't want to ever be put in a box, I don't want you to put yourself in a box. I do believe that people need to put you into a category. They need to file you somewhere. In order for them to come back to you and come to you when they need you, they need to be able to process where you fit for them. And so it's not about fitting into a box that you don't artificially fit into, but it is figuring out, okay, if this is what gives me joy and purpose, and this is something I can give value to somebody else, then if I can capture a percentage of that value back for myself, then I can do what gives me joy and what benefits the world at the same time, and everybody wins. And so to get to that point, I think you'd have to try a lot of things and have the courage to. Right now, I'm like later tonight, I'll be playing GTA roleplay. It's a 10-year-old game, for crying out loud. Like, look, it's an old game. I don't know what role play is a new thing for me, but I'm seeing some of the biggest numbers I've ever seen, and those people are then coming into my morning streams, and I'm able to encourage them and uplift them. So it's giving me an opportunity to reach people that I otherwise wouldn't, which is why I change the games up as regularly as I do, because it brings different people in. So I'm excited. I'm excited for where the future is because I'm willing to try new things. And so I don't even like as far as accomplishments, I'd say that it's the people in my community that are really the best accomplishment that I've had, and the fact that I've done it. Like, legitimately, that I started with absolutely nothing, started with a $30 webcam and a $30 microphone, $40 microphone, and an old PC, which I've now upgraded to a beast of a machine. Like, I started off with like an i3 and a 760 less than a year ago.
Wow.
And now it has an i9 and a 3070 and 64 freaking gig of RAM, and like, it like a dragon breath blows out its backside. It freaking made me an espresso earlier, and it trolled somebody that talks smack in my chat. Just sitting here, it has slain 4 of my enemies. So, it's just ridiculous. But like, really, that I've done that and built that with my community by believing in myself, by going for it, and by busting my butt every single day and getting up no matter what I felt like, and giving the message that, hey, it's not about how I feel. It's not about what my day is looking like. It's not about the circumstance or the situation. It's about me going for it. And if I continue to do that regularly, that things will begin to change over time. And it's true. They have. For me, they have. And it's wonderful. So, yeah.
Yeah. No. Like I said, all great stuff, man. All great stuff. And like I said, I am a part of your community. Probably one of the most non-toxic communities I've ever been in, because everything, even your mods, and I know I'm going to forget a few, but be better, do better always sticks out, not only because of the name, but it's always encouragement even coming from your mods.
Oh, yeah.
Which makes your community even. So shout out to your mods.
They're amazing.
Like I said, I know I'm forgetting. So I know be better, do better just sticks out because that's the one I've known the longest. But
yeah, I mean, look,
like when you have amazing mods, you have amazing community.
The only people that get picked for mods are people that do 2 things. One, they have to be unafraid of giving me crap because I need to be kept in line. And the second and most important thing is they need to love the community more than they love me. In other words, they need to care about the people around them more than they're trying to impress me or trying to be something for the stream. Or I don't care about it's just because there's no clout to be gained from being a mod. Like, right. I want them to be. They're there for the right reasons, I guess is the way to put it. So yeah, whether it's Susie or Be Better or Classy, and so many of them. And then I've got some new ones. Susie, I've got some new ones that are amazing. But but I have all women. Every single one of my mods, save one, is female, and it's brilliant and beautiful. They're incredible, and they keep me in line. But more importantly than that, they care about each other and they care about the people in the community. And I think that's more what's important than anything else. So I think that's a big part of why we have and then, like, quite honestly, it's hard to be in a room full of people that genuinely like each other. If you don't like the people, you don't last very long. So you're either genuine and you stay, or you kind of go, and that's okay too. I'm not for everybody. I realize that.
Yeah, shout out to Susie and Classy. I'm sorry the name slipped my mind, but I love you guys as well.
Let's see if I can name them all. I got Lily, Mara, Nando's, Classy, Susie, Be Better, and I don't think I'm leaving anybody out. And Moose on the Loose. I think that's everybody.
Yes. Oh yeah,
I think that's everybody.
Yeah, I haven't seen Moose on. Yeah, Moose on the Loose was one of the original.
Early days. And here's the other thing. There's a lot of people. Like, I have people that when I started streaming and was just starting encouraging people, they weren't streamers, that are now streamers that are very rarely even in my chat. But they're like off killing it. So I look at it like, hey, you're not in my chat anymore because you don't need me anymore. Good. I'm still proud of like helping anybody. If I encouraged you one day where you were having a bad day, man, I can take that and live off of that. That is my purpose. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So let me ask you this last question: if there was a movie made about your life, who's playing JD.ST? Who's in the starring role, in the title role?
Oh, I mean, it's got to be Justin Timberlake, just because that'd be funny. Just because, let's do that. But there doesn't need to be a movie made about my life at all.
From JD to JT.
Oh, no, I don't think so. Yeah, but yeah, that's who I'd pick. I loved that one. I loved that one.
All right, so for those that don't know your schedule, again, guys, you can find him on twitch.tv/JD.ST. But let the viewers and the listening audience know your schedules, what days and what times that they can find you.
When is my days and times? That's a good question. So I am live on Twitch Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. till 2 o'clock Eastern time. I do morning encouragement and motivation every single day at 10 a.m. And if anybody's ever having a rough day, they just pop in there and we'll get you hype. And then the evening streams are kind of depending on what's going on the day of the week, they change. But my full schedule's up at twitch.tv/JD.ST. And of course, you can find me everywhere social media happens. So I love Twitter. I spend a lot of time on Twitter. It's actually a big part of how I've grown the channel. So I give decent Twitter. So we have fun on there. So that's probably a good place to find me. JD.ST there as well.
Yeah, and like I said, we'll have all the links down in the chat descriptions for the podcast on the video and audio side. So, but my brother, I do want to thank you for spending this time with me, for coming on the show, and just sharing all these nuggets and these knowledge, from what we talked about, what's going on in America, all the way down to content creation to where you're going. I definitely, truly appreciate you. And viewers, listeners, please stop by this man's stream 10 a.m. on a weekday. Get encouraged. Stop in just listen.
Yeah.
He calls it the goosing. Stop in for the goosing. Drop us a follow on this man and subscribe to this man too. It's well worth it. Don't think of it as just the value that you get out of it is more than the $4.99, $5 a month that you're putting into it. You trust me. You're getting more value than what you're putting in, when you put your subscription in. So please take the time to check this man out, follow him, join this community. You will not regret it. Trust me.
Thank you, my friend.
Do you have any parting words for the audience before we wrap it up?
Listen, I would just say that, the truth of it is we've all been through a difficult few months and years here. And I think that if folks could just see that it is going to get better, number one, but number two, and most importantly, I think if we could just see that we are really a lot better than we think we are. I know that sometimes it feels like you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not strong enough, you're not going to ever be able to amount to anything. But the truth of it is that you're so much more than that. And I truly believe that you have a power inside of you to be able to change your life and change your world for the better. So I hope that you tap into it a little bit. And yeah, come and join us. Listen, give me 15, 20 minutes on a Monday morning. If you don't walk away feeling better, then I'll give you $10. How about that? Pharoah, I love you, man. Thank you so much again for asking me, and love to you and everybody that surrounds you. I appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir. And I couldn't have said it better myself. So as we always end the show, you could have spent your time doing anything in the world and you spend it with me, and I appreciate it. Yo, big up Brooklyn. Yo, Pharoah is out. Peace.